Well, welcome to the Producer Joe Show. Sorry about that glitch there. Hi. Got to remember to look at this camera right here. All my buttons are over here, but that's you. That's you right there. So, how you guys doing? Welcome. I'm sorry about the delay between the shows. I've been working a lot of extra time at work, and it's been a little nutso, but that's okay. Got to make a living. Got to afford those Disneyland trips, right? And I'm happy to work, and I love what I do. But anyways, here we go. So, oh, by the way, the last show was Bromo from KGB from the DSC. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. That was a fun show. Anywho, so here we go. Today, my guest is Jim McInnes. You may remember him for his many years at KGB. He also spent time at KPRI, and he's legendary. I mean, for somebody who's lived here my entire life, I know I grew up listening to him. So I'm not going to use without further ado, even though I just said it, but without further ado, Jim McInnes.
Thank you, Joe.
I can't avoid not saying that. I try not to say it, and then I end up saying it. I hate that.
Well, you know what? It works. You know, everybody knows what it means, and it's very effective, and it's short.
Well, if it's without further ado, does that mean I was doing before that? What the heck is an ado?
It's the opposite of an a don't.
A don't.
Thank you very much. I'm here all day. Right, Linguini. By the way, vote Lebowski 2024. There you go.
Lebowski, that's right.
That's right. Thank you.
And the shenanigans, which we'll get into.
Yes.
Yep, right there.
I always advertise my band everywhere I go.
No, that's great. I've seen them. I love them.
I do have hair, folks. It's up here.
There's the hair. There it is. I know. Hair. I'm always wearing a hat myself.
Yeah, I know.
Please make sure and like and subscribe to my YouTube page for further content. As the kids say, smash that like button.
I hate that.
I know. I'm going to get rid of further ado and smash.
All right, good.
So anyways, here we go. So Jim McInnes, man, this is great having you on here. When I made the list of guests that I would like to have on here when this started earlier in the year, you were definitely towards the top of the list because you're somebody, as I said, who I've listened to throughout my life, and you're a staple. That's a great word for that. You're a staple here. So I've been rambling. How are you? What's going on?
I'm well, and what's going on is I'm just enjoying doing nothing for the most part. I basically retired from radio when KGB fired me for the second time 4 years ago. Although I do have a Sunday night show that's still running on Res Radio up in Pala, and that is the Vinyl Resting Place, which is a 3-hour Friday night show where I play all the music that should have been hits, in my humble opinion, most of which were not hits, and most of which are probably too obscure for most people. But there it is if you want it, every Friday night from 8 to 11 on Res Radio 91.3 in Pala. And Pala is like, I don't know, 70 miles north of San Diego. And that station is only like 100 watts, low power public radio station. So the best way to listen to the Vinyl Resting Place is to get the Res Radio app. And it's at the App Store for Apple and Android devices. And you have to search for Res Radio app. It actually has the word app in the app.
Okay.
But you find that, and it's free. Put it on your computer, your smartphone, and listen to me still on the air Friday nights, 8 to 11. Res Radio. Here's the plug.
I love
also
the
likely
name.
to hear the shenanigans once in a while on that show.
Of course you would. Why wouldn't you? I love the name, the Vinyl Resting Place. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant.
Well, it was suggested to me by my program director at KGB and the Planet, Todd Little, and he got it from the name of a record store. There's a lot of record stores called the Vinyl Resting Place. So he just said, why don't you call your show this? And I said, all right, I don't have any name other than that, so we'll just run with that. So Vinyl Resting Place started in 2003 on 103.7 The Planet. I worked there for a couple of years. I didn't hear that in your intro. They're no longer around. That was they're owned by CBS, and CBS changed the format of all their rock stations in 2005 to talk radio, and that immediately tanked. So I'm happy to report that. But anyway, where was I?
I think I actually have the Planet T-shirt down in storage.
Yeah, that's more than I have. I got fired from there also, but the entire staff was fired from the Planet in 2005. So that's just, that's part of the business, It's a cool business.
You mentioned your band, the band you're in, the Shenanigans. Have you had any recent shows? I know you mentioned you got some shows coming up. We can get into that a little bit later, but
yeah,
you had any recent shows?
When was the last time we played? I think the last time we played was on St. Patrick's Day at Navajo Live. I think about 15 people showed up for that because it was our third show in 9 days, not just there, but around the area. So that was the last one. The next one coming up is July 19th at Humphreys Backstage. We'll be doing the happy hour on that Friday night from 5 to 7. And then on the, let me look here. I think it's the 26th or 27th of July. We'll be out at the Aquarius Bar and Grill again on that Saturday afternoon from noon to 3. Thing I like about it, playing in the Shenanigans, is most of our gigs are early, so people can come and enjoy and dance to us and get home, before bedtime.
7 o'clock, because that's mine.
Yeah, well, we like to be done by at the latest about 7 or 8 o'clock at most of the gigs.
I have a question of the show. I believe this is one of your biggest fans here, Sandy Bannister.
Oh yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Didn't Jim work at Jazz 88?
Yes, Sandy Bannister. I know her pretty well. I've been married to her for 40 years. Yes, I did. I was a part-time weekend DJ at Jazz 88 from 2006 to 2018. And it was always an adventure. They hated me there because I came out of rock and roll. And naturally, I was assumed I knew nothing about jazz. But granted, I wasn't fully immersed in jazz like most of their jocks, but I did know enough to, fake it. Anyway.
Until you make it.
Yeah, it was fun. I loved working there. It was totally free form. They gave us a choice of 27,000 cuts to play. It was just amazing. Amazing playlist. They were not really a playlist, but a library of 27,000 tracks. Let me compare that to KGB. When I left, I think KGB was playing maybe 250 songs, maybe 300 songs.
Wow, that's quite a
since 1991. I mean, they haven't added any new music in 30 years. I was talking to somebody yesterday about one of my doctors. I was saying, 1991, KGB's general manager, Tom Baker, announced to the staff, from now on, we're classic rock. And one of our engineers said to me, well, that's like locking ourselves in a closet and waiting for the air to run out. So there you go. That's why you still hear 1975 music in 2024 on KGB.
Right.
And I wish them all the best. I mean, I had a hell of a great career at KGB, but their classic rock ain't going to cut it for much longer, I don't think.
I do have a question here from Facebook. I can't put it up here, but it's from Amy Brown. And she asks, tell us about your favorite radio moments.
My favorite?
I know that's a very wide open.
Good God. Yeah, I've been on the air since, well, if you want to include college, I've been on the air since 1964. So, good or bad. I mean, I've had some interesting adventures. I locked myself out of the station one time. I've met some interesting women over the years through radio. Met a lot of great musicians, pop stars and whatnot. And, I could talk about some of my favorite interviews and the like, if you'd like me to do that. But there are so many moments over a 50, 60-year career that I don't even know where to start. Throw out a subject or something, and I'll riff on it.
Well, let me ask you, who was your favorite interview?
Well, looking back,
Most
I think
interesting.
the one, a lot of these guys are really hard to interview because it's not what they do. You know, they play guitar or whatever. But the one guy I interviewed who was so easy to talk to and was so intelligent was Ray Manzarek of the Doors. I talked to him back in 2000, and we were at a bar down in the Gas Lamp, and he brought in an electric piano and his keyboard bass and set them up, and we did this over the air. And Ray talked about, you know, how the Doors got together, because he had just written a book about Jim Morrison, so he talked about that. And he sat with his keyboard and said, and you know, Jim, and he's playing along, and this is how he came up with this song, and then goes into, you know, I forgot whatever song it was, Moonlight Drive, I think it was. And he just explained how that came together. And then Ray was just so easy to talk to. He was just my favorite pop star. He's very glib and very intelligent, and I miss him. He passed away not too long after that. And some other great interviews include, the guys from Def Leppard when they were kids. They came into the studio 1983 on the heels of Pyromania. They could just come out. And they were really nice, just kids, you know, little guys. And I met John Bon Jovi before he was anybody. He walked in the station. I was sitting at a desk, and I was the only person in there. And he goes, "Hi, I'm John." You know, "Hi, John. Nice to meet you. You must be here to talk to whoever it was on the air." Yeah. And you know, I could ramble on like this forever, but you know, it gets boring after a while.
Not to me. I assume that you were there when the chicken hatched, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the chicken and I he got there before me, but we were roughly about the same time. I joined KGB in May of 1974, and I believe that Bill Degisher had been hired as the chicken in 72 or 73, and Bill went on to a successful career as a salesman for the station, and Ted Janulis was hired out of San Diego State to become, and still is, the chicken. And yeah, we're roughly contemporaries. Yeah. I remember the chicken in 1974 was also doing duty as Kermit the Frog on KGB AM, the mascot of the AM show at the time, which was Huckleberry and his friends. Yeah. Huckleberry.
I don't think I ever heard that story.
Well,
That's great.
I'm not sure how long Huckleberry was there, but he was there in 74 and 75, as I recall. And the chicken set at the time a world's go-kart endurance record dressed in a frog outfit. I don't mean the chicken said it. Ted Janulis said it, dressed in this Kermit the Frog outfit. And he went around the Malibu Grand Prix out on Miramar Road. And I don't remember the time, so I'll just make it up. He rode it for 36 hours or something like that. Something crazy, but only a youngster could do that. And so there, you know, a little bit more about the history of Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
As opposed to the Muppets. Munsters, yeah. Muppets. What's the difference?
Yeah. So I'm trying not to bounce around too much here, but
go ahead, bounce away.
I did get a nice message from a fellow radio guy. You were in Madison, Wisconsin at WIBA in 1970. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got there early May 1970, not long after the Kent State Massacre. And that's how I remember it, because Madison was a very hotbed of radical politics in the early 70s, late 60s. And a couple of days before I moved there was a riot in down State Street in Madison to protest the killings at Kent State University. So I pull into town, you know, all of my stuff in my car, and there's all cop cars everywhere, and you know, smoke and fires and stuff. And I said, "Wow, this is going to be interesting." And it was. Madison. I worked for Radio Free Madison, which was exactly what it sounded like on WIBA FM 101.5, and you could play anything you wanted. And I got there as the weekend jock. I did an 8-hour air shift on Friday and Saturday nights. That's 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And then eventually I got a full-time gig. And then after a year and a half there, I became the program director.
Yep.
And called the shots. But, you know, you play whatever you want. So I didn't have to do much except create a schedule, you know.
Play music.
Yeah, just play music and shut up. But it got to, a lot of that got to be really self-indulgent, as you could imagine. But carried on for several more years. I left in 1973 because I had come out to San Diego on vacation and on a whim dropped the tape off at KPRI and then drove back across the country. And then, I don't know, a week or two later, they called me and said, "Hey, you want a job in San Diego?" And I said, "Are you wedding?" They said, "Well, we'll give you $550 a month." And I said, "Well, I'm making $800 a month now, so I'll take it." It was just the chance to move to California and see what I could do in the big time. So
Sure.
I'm glad I did that.
Well, that compliment came from John Flint, John and Tammy, KSON.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And
they came from Madison as well.
Wisconsinites, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Wisconsinites. You betcha. You know it.
You'll betcha,
yeah, for sure there.
No, John's a great guy. Tammy, great. But he just wanted me to profess that, or he didn't ask me to. I wanted to bring that out.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. Madisonians stick together. It's an interesting place. It's like an oasis.
So what? So you got to KGB in '74, is that right?
Mm-hmm. After working at KPRI for 10 months. Yeah.
KPRI. And during the '70s, I have one out here. The homegrown albums. There was a run of the homegrown albums.
Yeah.
I suppose I know you did some record producing. I don't know if you produced these, but I know that this is a pretty big part of your life.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
We did let's see. The homegrown one I had nothing to do with, but all of the other ones I helped select the music and co-produced Homegrown 84, the last one, which I don't see on the screen here. But yeah, I was instrumental in picking the tunes for all of those other ones. Yeah.
Instrumental, was that a pun?
Sorry? Oh, yeah. Yes. I was a guitar player in picking those albums. No, I had a lot to do with putting those records together. Yes.
We have a comment to the show here. Marilyn Hyder.
Oh, hi, Marilyn.
Did you ever say a bad word and get in trouble on the air?
No. I think I once said shit, but that was during an interview, and I don't think anybody noticed it. I think it was I was talking about management or something. I said, well, if they just get their shit together, we'd know more. But by then it was too late to call it back. And big deal. It's just the word shit, Now we had a TV show called Schitt's Creek, for God's sake.
That's true.
Just yes, Lord Shits in Pants.
So Marilyn says hi, as you can probably see right there. So going back to the homegrown albums, in 1983, you hosted KGB's Homegrown Hour, right?
Yeah, that was the start of the Homegrown Hour, and that was just to preview the new Homegrown album, which in retrospect was a stupid idea because it cut into album sales, but there it was. And then it just became a regular show. I did it. Geez, that was from 83 to, I got kind of tired of it 1995 or so. After Country Dick Montana of the Beat Farmers died, I kind of lost interest. He was my co-host for a year or so when he was in town, and it was always a hoot when he would come on with me. And then after, I think I did it for 12 years. And then I think it was Scott Chatfield took it over for a while, and Cole Lewis did it for a while. I kind of lost track after a while. But yeah, it was fun, and it still is a big thrill for me to expose local bands and artists to hopefully a wider audience. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me as a fellow struggling musician. Yeah.
Right. Well, I have another question here. This is on Facebook from Adam Paul. Obviously, Jim saw many changes in the industry here in town. I'd be curious in knowing what were some of the changes, if any, that were, in his opinion, good, and also some for the bad, as it seemed there have been quite a few. So maybe what he thought was the worst. Also, out of curiosity, what does he see the golden years in town?
Oh, man.
At one time, we had quite a few radio stations, community radio stations. That's a lot.
Well, there's still some 30 radio stations in San Diego. Their formats change, but the license to operate a radio station is so valuable that the stations will never leave. They'll just change call letters and formats and whatnot. What have I seen that was good? That's tough.
Maryland pops in, deregulation.
Oh, deregulation. Well, that was probably the worst thing that happened. In 1996, Bill Clinton signed the Communications Act of 1996, which allowed companies to own as many radio stations as they want. Prior to that point, one owner could only have maybe 8 radio stations in any one market or it all together. And then that allowed this company called J-Corps to come into San Diego and buy up 75% of the radio stations. Again, these numbers I'm throwing out here are just estimates off the top of my head. But J-Corps came in and bought all these stations, including KGB and 91X, and put us all in the same building eventually, which was cool. But then they consolidated and sold all of their stuff to Clear Channel Communications, who were based in Texas. And that became the monster known as Clear Channel, which has tried to, soften its image by changing its name to iHeart, or as I call them, I Hate Radio. They own some, I don't know now, 700-800 radio stations. And that's just insane, because how can somebody sitting in an office in Texas somewhere in charge of 800 radio stations possibly keep track of 800 radio stations? It got stupid, and they started putting out cookie cutter formats. It's like a McDonald's.
And look at that, right as you say that, Maryland Ider, the McDonaldization.
Oh, there it is. I see that. Yeah, Maryland called it the McDonaldization of news. Yeah, and music as well. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of that was a major disappointment to me in my 700 years on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah, that was massive, and the changes are still being felt.
Yep.
I mean, it's
yep.
terrible.
It's definitely ruined. Took the fun out of the game for the most part.
Yeah. Rob Von Roll writes, legend. Do you remember where the KGB came from?
Yeah, Cookie stole that drop from me, and that came from the Firesign Theater. The first program director, Ron Jacobs at KGB, when I was there, was tight with the Firesign Theater when Ron was the PD at KHJ in LA. And if you're not familiar with Firesign Theater, they were in the 1970s, super hip, sophisticated comedy troupe. At one point, the best-selling comedy troupe on record. And their stuff was so, you have to just dig it out and find it yourself. But they were big on little interjections like, "What?" Which is a man faking a woman's voice, asking the question, "What?" So at one point, our program director took that was on a card. He took it out of the studio and said, "I've heard enough of this what stuff." We went back in and, dug it out of his desk when he wasn't looking and put it back in the system. And it's lived there ever since. I wonder if they're still using it. I don't know, because I don't listen to the radio much anymore, except for baseball games and my own show,
Oh, yeah.
And news.
Sandy drops in some great talent on air, like Jagger and Christie, John and Tammy. Absolutely.
You bet. Know Jagger and Christie real well. They're good folks. Yeah.
Great, yeah.
And Christie's from Wisconsin, too.
Wisconsin.
By golly. Something about that.
Let's see here. Talk to me about the Sky Show. It's something to me that growing up, it was just huge to me. What was that a big deal to you, or was it just part of the job, or was it something really extra special?
Well, I was there when it was created, so again, I had a hand in the creation of the thing, a small hand, but a small technical part. But yeah, it was Rick Liebert's idea. He was the PD at the time, 1976. And he thought, let's just try this and see how it goes. And if you recall that being, when was that, 48 years ago, we had it at 2 locations, Fiesta Island and the other one was at Choice Lakes. Simultaneous fireworks set to music, and it created the biggest traffic jam in the history of the I-5, both directions, during the duration of that show. And I don't know how it was out at Choice Lakes, but the traffic jam was resulted in the Sky Show being moved to the stadium in 1977, where it has been ever since, whichever stadium it's at. I think it's at Petco anymore.
I think it's at Petco right now.
Yeah.
Just what a phenomenal show. I've been to
Yeah. It got better and better every year, and they added lasers, and the pyrotechnics just got more and more sophisticated. Yeah, it's a fantastic idea. And it's copied, of course, worldwide now.
When I hear that theme song, I always get goosebumps with the trumpets. It's just just incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try something here. I don't do this very often, but I wanted to play an air check from you from KGB. Not sure what year this is, but let me see if I can do this. I don't do it very often, so let me see.
Every time they would air check me, I made self-conscious, Oh, look at this tuna. All right.
Let's see if I know what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Welcome to $1,000 Thursday. I'm Jim McInnes, and I have another No Talk triple play for you. I get a lot of requests for this song, and it's one of my faves, too. This is Voices of Babylon from the outfield on the 101 KGB FM. KGB, hi there.
Hi, it's about time you guys pick up the phone.
Well, there's only one of me.
There's only one of you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you win that money? I want to win some money. I'm poor.
Well, if you're poor, don't get into radio. No, you wait until we play a certain artist. We change the artist every hour. And this hour, when I play Genesis, then you be the 10th caller, which is easy to say.
Yeah, right. Easy to say.
Good luck.
Easier said than done. Will you do me a favor?
What?
The Genesis song, I may not have any chance of winning against 900,000 other people. Will you at least play the Follow You, Follow Me song?
Okay, I'd be glad to.
Do that?
Yes.
Oh, I love you, yes, sweetheart.
Thank you. Yes, I am.
You are. You really are.
Okay, thanks for calling.
And listen carefully.
Bye-bye.
And I'm going to play it.
Here you go.
Call now. Caller 10 right now.
All right. Let me shut that off.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
I look at myself like 230 pounds or something. Good God, I looked horrible in those days.
Radio.
Not that I look so good now, but come on. Hey, how you doing?
No, that was a fun air check. That lady was funny, but we played her song.
Yeah, I did. She didn't win.
Let's see here.
Fine.
Rob Von Roll chimes in once again here. Old one. Gabriel
Duke Hanamoku. Duke Hanamoku, king of all the surfers. Gabriel lived for a couple years in Hawaii in between stints at KGB, and that's where he picked that one up. So you'd have to ask Gabriel the origin of it, but apparently Duke Hanamoku was the king of all the surfers in Hawaii. That's all I know on that one. Gabriel's a guy you got to talk to Gabriel. He's got some real cool stories. He's another real interesting guy.
Yeah, he's on my list. He's definitely on my list.
You get Jeff Prescott too. Jeff Prescott's a hilarious, very funny, witty, smart man. Yeah.
Jeff Prescott might be the wittiest person I've ever known. Just so
it was great to it. It was great having those guys as the News Brothers when I was doing the midday show.
Right.
Prescott and Wisdom, and later Eric Thompson and Gabriel Wisdom. They all did a great job. Until one day in 1991, the then program director came in and said, "Well, I was ordered to fire the News Brothers, so you're fired." Big mistake, but what are you going to do?
Right.
Hi,
Marilyn. Hi again, Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. Oh, yes, she likes Jeff too. Well, sure, Jeff.
Yeah.
Marilyn's at Kogo, and Jeff was at Kogo for a few years in his long, illustrious career.
Well, that exhausts my list. But again, you're going to be at Humphrey's Backstage July 19th.
The shenanigans will be July 19th from 5 to 7 at Humphrey's Backstage, right next door to Humphrey's Concerts by the Bay. It's the indoor venue there. And then on July 27th, Will be at that's Saturday, July 27th at Aquarius Bar and Grill out there on the jetty in Mission Bay, down at the end of Quivira. It's hard to describe where that is, but I think most people by now know where Aquarius is. It's a fun outdoor venue. We really enjoy playing there. We played there about, I don't know, 8 or 9 times now. So come on out and join us. That one is a daytime gig from noon to 3, July 27th. Humphreys, 5 to 7 p.m. on July 19th. See you there. We're good. We're a lot of fun. The Shenanigans are a 9-man band. Got 3 horns, 3 guitars, where only 1 is needed, plus keyboards, drums, and we just have a whole lot of fun. We're not like super slick, you know. We're loose and we're sloppy and fun, and that's the whole key to it. We're entertainers. We're not super serious, stuffy musicians. So come and enjoy yourself. And people dance their asses off at Shenanigans shows. So if that's what you want to do, you want to have a good time and dance, you come and see us. Marilyn Hyder likes us, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I recommend that. Well, lots of fun. I've seen y'all. I think I saw you at the Camel's Breath Inn. I think that's where I saw. Yeah,
we played there a number of times. It's been a couple of years since we played there. They changed whoever's booking the bands there. So I haven't even tried to get in contact with them. I see somebody sent a message here saying, oh yeah, don't forget Jim did news at KFMB. This is true. After my last radio gig, rock radio gig, I got a job at AM 760 KFMB, where I was a news anchor from 2007 to 2015. Interestingly enough, I mean, it's a right-wing political station, and I'm not a right-wing guy, but I was Rick Roberts' sidekick for a year, which was really fascinating radio for me and for him, I'm sure. But yeah, I did do that. Thank you, Sandy, for reminding me of that period of my life.
Sandy knows a lot about you.
Well, she does. You should interview her too. She was in radio to start off, and then ended up with a great television career.
Yeah.
My wife, Sandy, retired a couple of years ago from Fox 5 television here in San Diego, where I had a show. We should talk about my TV shows some other time because they were terrible. I'll try to get some clips for you.
Yeah, Marilyn drops in Rick Roberts. Man, that's a name I haven't heard in quite a few years.
Yeah, well, Rick's gone. He's from Oklahoma, but I think he's in Washington, D.C. these days. But I don't know. He's a vagabond, you know, but his home base is Oklahoma City. And I know that he got fired from KFMB because he did so many of his shows from Oklahoma City when he was supposed to be in San Diego in studio, the studio right across from me, doing his show. But he was missing half the time, which was cool in a way because then they would bring in Jeff Prescott to sub for him. And we just had a riot together doing this serious talk crap, you know.
I can just imagine when the mics went off, how crazy that was between you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, radio's a blast. It is. Despite all the complaints, I wouldn't want to do anything else for a living.
Marilyn really wants to hear a Rick Roberts story. Do you?
Oh God!
Do you have anything quick you can appease Marilyn?
No, you know I got along great with Rick. He the first time we worked together, he said, and my new newsman is Jim McInnes here, who I suppose doesn't like anything I stand for, and we have nothing in common. And then I said, well, no, I like this and that and this and that. And we kind of got along after that. And so I don't really have anything bad to say about Rick. He's certainly, he has his opinions. They're very strong. And that's why he's making the big bucks, you know. That's why
Marilyn's saying
he gets $250,000 a year, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, he's a heavy hitter.
Easily, yeah. Marilyn's saying she has stories. Well, you got to get Marilyn Hyder on here.
Oh, that would be fun.
She has a lot of stories also.
Get Jeff on her. Jeff and her on here together. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. That would work. By the way, this is water I'm drinking. By the way.
Coca-Cola.
With a straw. I'd explain why the straw, but no one would care.
Producer Joe's show, not brought to you by Coca-Cola.
No, it's not Coca-Cola. This is seltzer.
All right. Well, I'm gonna shut her down here, buddy. Unless you got anything else.
Well, it's your show, Joe.
I'm good. I'm happy. It was a great conversation.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
I appreciate you coming on here. You're always a good talk.
Well, it's good to talk to you too. You're taking me away from the Padres being clobbered by Miami this afternoon.
Oh, darn.
So this cheers me up a little bit.
We have one last question here. It just rolled in. Rob Von Roll once again here.
There are 3 listeners. All right, 3 viewers. All right, cool.
What was your opinion on the first time you heard Cookie do his sports report and his meanwhile in the national bit?
Cookie asked me what I thought of that, and I said I thought it was one of the greatest ideas ever. And that's what I think of it. It's brilliant. And it allows him to use anything he wants after saying national bat. You could fill that space with anything and then come out Skitball Association.
Brilliant. Just freaking brilliant. Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's a great guy, too. All those guys are great. DSC, just super talented folks. Miss them. But I guess you can hear them on a podcast now. They're making the most of their career.
Yeah, Dave Rickards. Yep. And Marilyn enjoyed the show. So with that, I'm going to shut her down. Thank you very much. Go out and see the Shenanigans July 19th at Humphreys. I really recommend it. Lots of fun. If I can get down there, I'm going to get down there. Yeah.
I think there's a cover charge like $5 or something. But it's worth every cent. We're going to give you a $7 show. Don't you worry about it.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks again, and I hope to see you real soon. We got that radio reunion brewing. We're working on that.
Great.
Marilyn. All right, buddy. I'll catch you later. Thank you so much.
All right, Joe. My pleasure. See you, everybody.
All right. Bye now.
Cheers.